It's a beautiful good morning to you. Welcome to Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm your host. My name is Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Now, we all know I look forward to Saturday Breakfast Show because then we get to update you on what has been happening in the course of the week. So we get to have beautiful breakfast shows with our hosts right here on Camnet TV. So in case you missed out on one or two things that happened during the course of the week, we make sure that we bring you up to date on the Camnet Saturday Breakfast Show. Now, our topic of discussion for today actually marries what is currently happening, which is the 16 days of activism on gender-based violence. And our question for today, our topic of discussion for today is, do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? So the number that you can get in touch is 0968675273, or get to our Facebook platform and actually tell us what your view is on this particular topic. And also on the other side, we'll be looking at different things that happened during the course of the week. We're talking of the new NDC leader and also the petition against Mr. Mike Mposha, which was filed in by independence candidate Thomas Sipalo during the general election. There was a petition, quite a number of petitions that were filed in actually in the court of law, and we're just seeing the judgments being passed one after the other. So now, right about now, we'll quickly get into our first segment, which is the Morning Boost, where we just give you an opportunity to actually exercise and stretch one or two muscles. Then later on, we'll have a guest that will come through to talk about a particular topic, and also later on we're going to have another guest that's going to come through and just highlight more on the mental effects of gender-based violence. And also we know mostly it's focused on the females, that's the women and also a girl child, but we've seen quite a number of people being abused, men including men as well, especially amid the COVID-19. So before I actually just start the whole show right here, let's get into the Morning Boost. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Boost. I'm sure you've been following our programs and not just watching but also trying to exercise. So welcome, and today we're going to be working on the abs. All right, let's go. Warm up. Let's go. Same jumping jacks. Instead of going all the way up, this time here we go. That's your warm-up today. Go. So that's a 1 minute warm up. Let's do some abs workout now. Okay, as you can see, I came with a bottle of water. We're gonna do some Russian twists. There you go. Get a bottle, put it down there. If you have a dumbbell, good for you. I'm gonna sit here, working on the abs. Lean back a bit. There you go. 1. 7. 10. Okay. Go to the second one. We're going to come back to this one. Here we go. Lie down. That was 10. I'm going to do another 10. Let's go. That's 10. Bring back the bottle. Let's go 10. and 9, 10. Go down. Let's go 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the set, which is 40. If you want after that, you can take a break. Let's do another one now. Still on the abs. Okay. I'm gonna be now sliding on the sides. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 15-second break. Then you go back to the workout again. Another 10. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many? 8, 9, 10 for those that are watching on Facebook. So that's 20. Here we go now. Elbow to knee crunches. And then we start doing it. Okay. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So you've done your abs workout for today. And we do that again. And it's going to work out fantastic for you. Let's cool down. I only have seconds to my 5 minutes now. And very soon I'll be signing out. So that's how you do your abs workout. We did 3, if you noticed. So let's go march and start cooling down. March, march, march. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I've enjoyed my session with you. Looking forward to train with you again. Let's go.
Welcome back. There you have it. That was the morning boost. And also, like I say every time after the morning boost, hope you make sure that you get to have your breakfast. We've got different people and different times when they have their breakfast. We've got those that actually eat between 6 and 10, and those actually prefer to have a brunch instead of just breakfast, which is a combination of breakfast and lunch around 12:30 or even 13, or late lunch, because after 12 I don't think we can call it breakfast. So if you're having a combination of things that are found in the breakfast plate, on the breakfast plate, and also the lunch plate, obviously that's going to be called brunch. So just make sure that you have something to make sure that you boost your immune, and just to make sure that you get to have the energy to keep you going at the end of the day and as you start the day. And also, most importantly, always have that glass of water. Okay, so do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? So now, quickly getting into our first interview for the day, like I mentioned, we'll be having someone that's just going to explain the mental effects of gender-based violence, which is our psychiatrist, Luyando Hamundo, who is currently on the line right now. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Okay, so we seem to have a technical fault, but we'll get in touch with him. So remember that you can actually come through on the show on 0968675273. Now, getting into a topic of discussion, which was initiated by the first Women's Global Institute, that was in 1991, to actually commemorate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which runs from the 25th of November to the 10th of December. Not forgetting, December is also a month where we get to celebrate World AIDS Day on the 1st of December. So remember that you coming through on the show is just what can I say, expressing yourself and also saying what you think is the current situation with the fight against gender-based violence. Are we winning the fight against gender-based violence or not? So now quickly, before we get into our interview, while we're trying to sort out that issue, let's just get into some of the reports that we carried out concerning gender-based violence, including the one where the Vice President, Madam Talina Lumango, launched a commemoration of gender-based violence, 16 days activism against gender-based violence right here.
Gender-based violence and sexual crimes have remained endemic despite various interventions to curb them. According to data from the Zambia Police, 2020 statistics stood at over 26,000 in comparison to about 25,000 in 2019. The increase has been attributed to the onset of the coronavirus, which has come with regulations such as requiring that more people stay at home during certain periods of time to curb the spread of the virus. Republican Vice President Muntalena Lumango, officiating during the International Day for the Commemoration of Violence Against Women and Girls, which is also the start of the 16 days of the gender activism campaign, has called on society and stakeholders to speak out on this vice as it has long-lasting effects on victims and society as a whole. She asked that to break free from the cycle, there is need to increase girl education and women empowerment, as well as bringing anti-GBV services closer to the people, including in rural areas.
These interventions will ensure that the fight against gender-based violence is sustainable. Alongside these enduring gender-based violence prevention interventions, the new joint government will continue to uphold and strengthen mitigation measures to minimize the impact of gender-based violence on the survivor. This will be achieved by strengthening the operations on one-stop centers as requested by those that spoke earlier on gender-based violence, shelters for survivors of gender-based violence, establishment of fast-track courts on gender-based violence, and ensuring there is an enabling policy and legislation as requested for legislative environment to efficiently and effectively operationalize these structures.
Meanwhile, Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council NGOCC Board Chairperson Ms. Mary Mulenga says there is need for adequate funding to the gender agenda and for a clear gender machinery to be set up apart from the gender division under the Office of the President.
While we welcome the restructuring of the gender machinery which falls under the Office of the President, we are concerned that there is a lack of a clear direction in this endeavor. An elaborate gender machinery will not only help in the fight against SGBV, but will also help in building on the gains made by the country to narrow the gender gaps. We are looking forward to the full operationalization of the Gender Equity and Equality Act.
In adding her voice, Acting United States Embassy Charge d'Affaires to Zambia, Cheryl Stambros, has called for the actualization of the anti-GBV fund.
I would like to make two appeals to the Zambian government and specifically to the recently established gender division. First, actualize the anti-GBV fund. This fund supports survivors to seek justice and hold perpetrators accountable. Second, ensure that fully resourced one-stop centers are integrated into more health facilities to ensure survivors of violence receive comprehensive services for post-violence, no matter where they are in this great country.
Meanwhile, the European Union delegation to Zambia and the United Nations have called for the creation of a safe online space, stating that these crimes have also increased on the digital space. Women for Change Executive Director Ms. Lumba Sianga, in an interview, has called for more sensitization on the effects of GBV so as to encourage reporting of these cases. The event was held under the theme, Orange the World, End Violence Against Women and Girls Now. It was attended by representatives of local and international bodies. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Sofuna ishile bakonka pakashuko pakaso. Ndende kwa kofia kule famwana marita tuanire. So kashu shibari babi no mwana kashu. So for na sevenjera kashu katen ko mwana sisi na mwana yenshu penya mwana. Nende tinjuka define no mwana. So na sapa no mistake na panta wala wadbash. So nisha wona na panta koso. White kawe mwana kashu no kuma kashu dekeni mumya kashu tetari mkunta pana. Fuva tan video kungu makungu. So flasa bula
Mary's case is one of the many cases in Zambia. The 33-year-old, who was first hesitant to press charges on her husband when he first allegedly stabbed her with a knife on her left side of her leg, gathered the courage with the help of Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights, an organization based in Kanyama and selected parts of the country whose aim is to address such issues, among others. In an interview with Camnet TV this morning, the organization has confirmed that their husband has been detained and is currently in police custody at Kanyama, Los Angeles police station, and he will appear before the courts of law soon. The organization has also disclosed that the woman is currently undergoing treatment and will ensure that she goes through counseling as well. The organization has further disclosed that the only support they can render to this woman is to provide foodstuff and nothing else.
Over a lady who was battered by the husband, we managed to apprehend the culprit and surrendered him to the police. And right now, as we speak, he is still in custody. The police also, they have taken keen interest over the same matter because this is not the first time when he's doing that to the wife. So as organization, we are very much happy because the police also, we are working hand in hand and they have done a commendable job. Very soon, I think we are able to hear something. Let him appear before the court of law so that the justice can prevail. The condition is not okay. The eye is still not okay. Right now, she's just alone with the children, and she's being taken care of by the landlord. As an organization, yes, we have the plans for her. Although we have got limited resources, the only thing we can do is buying foodstuffs. So that's all. No and other things that we can do.
Now, this unemployed woman is forced to find means and ways on how to survive rather than depending on the man she has sent to jail. Over the past years, cases of abuse among women and girls have more than doubled. Such cases should be handled by the courts, but in reality, out-of-court settlements are the norms where the victim voices are ignored. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Despite government and some stakeholders come up with gender-based violence programs to curb the vice, the country, however, continues to record GBV cases each single day, with most high numbers of cases being recorded in shanty compounds. This issue is not only devastating for survivors of violence and their families, but also entails significant social and economic cost. This woman of Lusaka's John Lane compound is a victim of GBV. She has told this reporter how she has been continuously abused by her husband, both physically and mentally.
Sister wanga. So we wanafika. Wanambotukwana. Inamnyumba. Mbotukwana. Wanachuka panja hivi. Ndio system ya mali na ngati vapora chapa. Nishiriza menye. Kanumba. So naambele nokunimenya that's inalemba. Kwamba utukwa na kutukwa na kuchoka panja kutukwa na kutukwa na kutukwa. Bana karachezi sina bayanga. Kama na kangati mami. Basi enosa bayanga. Nze chezi ba ekonka mnyumba. Noboni mmenya kofi chini na mwana kumbo. Bwana gwera pampana. Mwana ambo punda kama mkazi. Boka cha mama na kupushi na koma do.
One characteristic of gender-based violence is that it knows no social or economic boundaries and affects women and girls of all socio-economic backgrounds. This issue needs to be addressed in both developing and developed countries.
Zapata ya kunchita. anakuwa banimenya hapo hapana kamba chako tena zaleka anje na unachachira mkuti basi dai kwa walimu za kote kifa mtima ikalipo kwa na 1 week futi mara babweza hapo futi na matusi kutukwa na maningi wale bati tupo mpasi.
And Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights have strongly condemned the continued increase of men abusing their partners.
We cannot allow day in, day out losing our mothers, losing our sisters. And we cannot allow a situation whereby these cases are swept under the carpet when the community leaders are there, when us as the civil societies, we are there. We appeal to all stakeholders to participate in this fight.
Decreasing violence against women and girls requires a community-based, multi-pronged approach and sustainable engagement with multiple stakeholders. The most effective initiative addressed underlying risk factors for violence includes social norms regarding gender roles and the acceptability of violence. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News. As she holds the middle bar explaining how her estranged husband almost killed her, this woman of Lusaka's Kanyama compound cannot say much but express the sorrow in her heart. At only 25 years old, Memory has seen hell in a 1-year marriage because of her husband's extramarital affair, of which if she confronts him, beating is what she gains in return. She narrates to Camnet how she was allegedly attacked and hit with this metal bar after she confronted her husband, Bismarck Kangai, of his cheating behavior.
Tinankara muri 3 months yameneyo nishtiki kuno vanapezeka vafuna mukazi wa mubba uyo minenzo kondo bwa utapa manzi pametenzo nkali so manje nivenzo chitani kanyamura bucket sivenzo funa kuti ndikastoka munyumba pa vezo funa chabe ndikastoma che munyumba socha nikatoka munyumba nishibaza boni menyonzo boy wazwando chitachani sinifuna kuti tukasteza na vakazi vanzako ndemwe nambira che kutoma munyumba vakaenda kuseni vazanipeza munyumba mwamene mujanezo nkamuri wa mulamu after tachoka kuja na bwana nkana mimba vanimenya na bantu chabe ndio na bwana isukukanya moesti kuveneze naye kapita madezi na pesa na mimba futi babwele akuboni tenga bantu ananisunga kunja wakamba uliba buru bako baburu wanga watumira fona tise kubevetinga chite wanatabisana ngati nisoka ngankare pamenewo ndemwe vanina bwele futi wamuna wanga bwana tenga futi tankala naye anamba kunimenya kwamboka mbati nasiya mkazi kumuzi kumongo wena bara naye mwana ngati kusira sivisa kasirapo ninendo kwezana naye ndemwe nankalira ezonisi anocho kuja kutoka kuseni na mimba oro mafuta kutoka mwana kwa tia kariboni gulia kwa toro katatu cha penzo pamasta kugura basilini so cha bewankara kutororosho nizore kulibe kumwe na bana nitengea.
As this reporter visited the scene, found Memory in a bad condition, as walking was difficult for her. But despite all this torture, she maintains that she still loves her husband and still wants to be with him because she has nowhere to go.
Manje chapeka nkalido na chani mwemeneli sinezo ziwati wangaboe kumishita so after nachoka kumakorola.
The 25-year-old victim was later taken to the hospital where they confirmed that she has sustained serious injuries due to the tools used on her. Meanwhile, Concerned Citizen for Justice and Human Rights have condemned the act and called for their immediate arrest of the suspect.
Calling on the community day in, day out, that they shouldn't wait to report such cases to the police, to the relevant authorities. And we shouldn't be sweeping such cases under the carpet. So on that one, I think we totally condemn and we are appealing to the relevant authority to take total action. And as for now, as organization, we have taken the patient to the police and we have taken the patient to the hospital so that they can see to the extent of the damage of the victim. Yeah. We are also appealing to the well wishers, those who can come on board to help the victim raise money so that she can go back to her parents.
A call to address such cases, mostly in shanty compounds, still remains. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. So those are some of the stories over gender-based violence. Quite a number of the victims, a majority of the victims are actually women and girls, but we've seen stories that men have actually also been violence against women has actually been happening, but I feel we haven't focused more on that, because a few men will actually come out to say, no, I'm being battered by my wife. But I remember we ran a story of a couple in Kanyama compound that fought over a 20 kwacha because a man felt that was enough for the household. That's inclusive of radish and other necessities that are needed to prepare a meal. So the question of the day is, do you think we are winning the fight against corruption? And looking at the increased numbers of gender-based violence amid the COVID-19, because there are times that people actually, certain companies laid off people and people had to spend half of their time with their violence partners, and also the working from home thing that came through because of COVID-19 pandemic that increased the number of gender-based violence, not just in Zambia, but also other countries across the globe. 0968675273. So right now we'll be getting into the conversation with our psychiatrist, who will just be telling us the side effects of mental health when it comes to gender-based violence. But before we get into that, let's just quickly take a short break, and then we'll get into it. Oh, okay, he's here, the psychiatrist is here. So let's just get into it right about now. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay, so 0968675273. You also can come through and just give us your suggestion or opinion, or get to our Facebook platform, that's Camnet TV, like the page and comment just right there. Do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? Let's just quickly take a short break and then we'll be back.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chuluwa comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite National Matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Africa is rising to a new dawn. of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
This is Camnet TV World News. For a prompt response, call +2609 53 995 099 or +2609 62 444 726 or +2609 711 77467. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Okay, so you are still watching Camnet Breakfast Show, and like I mentioned, our topic of discussion is, do you think we're winning the fight against gender-based violence? Right now on the line is our psychiatrist, Luyando Hamuindo, that's just going to tell us the effect of the mental effect of gender-based violence, how we can avoid that, and also if we're winning the fight against gender-based violence. Hello? Hello?
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay. When we talk about gender-based violence, obviously we see that in women it increases, not only in women, but also we've seen that men can also be on the end of gender-based violence. So it increases the incidences of depression and anxiety. Then we've also seen that it also increases the risk of a person suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and then their risk to actually being suicidal or engaging in suicide is actually increased. Then not only on the mental aspect, but we've also seen an increase in the risk of having cardiovascular diseases and also premature mortality. Then when it comes to children or anyone who views any form of violence, we see from research that the region of the brain that is responsible for regulating emotions. So what that will entail is that a child or anyone who's observed aggression or any form of violence have an increased risk of being violent themselves and failing to understand when others are suffering or failing to understand the emotions of others. So what this will entail is that simply children who grow up in an environment where they see a lot of abuse, where they see a lot of violence, where they see a lot of aggression, will in themselves become aggressors and violent when they grow up. Then when it comes to the question on whether we were winning the battle against gender-based violence or not, I think that's a 50-50 question. We might be winning, obviously, because there is more of these activisms that are taking place and people knowing more about their rights. And one of the causes for gender-based violence is the lack of education. It's been seen that in places where the literacy levels are very low, we see that there is an increase in gender-based violence. But we are seeing that a lot of people are going to school now, and the literacy levels in Zambia are quite high. So that in itself is reducing the amount of gender-based violence. Then the social norms as well are changing a little, so probably it's improving. But when we look at one of the causes is actually poverty. The poverty levels in Zambia are quite high, so when it comes to that end, in places where, in compounds, in places where you have high poverty levels, we're still very far from winning this fight. And obviously the other contributing factor is simply because of the literacy level. So in the near future, I believe that like 2016, we recorded about 18,500 cases of gender-based violence compared to the 18,088 cases that we had last year. So this is somehow a reduction in the number of cases, and we're hoping that in the next 5 years or so, there will be an improvement. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. We're just having a conversation with the psychiatrist, Luyando Hamonde, that was just telling us side effects of gender-based violence, actually mental effects. And one of them that he mentioned were that it actually can cause depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. And also one of the contributing factors of gender-based violence is poverty. Like we saw in one of the stories, one of the women mentioned to say she really does love her husband, but then the reason that the only solution that she wants at that particular time is just people coming through and see how they can sit down and talk about the issues. So now remember that you can also come through and tell us what your contribution is towards the topic of discussion today, which is, do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? Or get to our Facebook platform, which is Camnet TV, like the page, and then comment, and then let's get into the conversation. Like I mentioned, there are quite a number of things that happened in the course of the week. We're talking of the talk of the town, which is the current conversation in the streets right now, the increase of the electricity and fuel tariff, which comes through because of the announcement that was made by the Bank of Zambia governor. We've seen mixed emotions from stakeholders, party leaders, and also the general citizenry, where they're actually complaining about the fuel and electricity tariff increase. So right about now, let's just quickly take a short break, and then we'll get into that, and then we'll get into our other interview. So now the president, the PEP, Patriots for Economic Progress President Sean Tembo actually expressed shock over the Bank of Zambia governor of the suggestion of the monetary policy, which personally I don't understand, but we'll have a guest just to summarize and bring it down to a person that doesn't really understand what that is about. We've seen banks actually making statements, different banks making statements marrying the fact that there was that announcement that was made by the Bank of Zambia governor, so which means that we'll see some changes in the monetary policy rate. So this is what Mr. Sean Tembo had to say.
As Patriots for Economic Progress, we noted with a lot of shock yesterday when we heard the Bank of Zambia governor advocating for an increase in fuel prices as well as electricity tariffs, because it is unheard of for a Bank of Zambia governor to actually be advocating for an increase in key production inputs such as electricity and fuel, because the primary job of a central bank is to maintain price stability. And so how can someone whose primary job is to maintain price stability be advocating for an increase in prices? We expect that to be under the purview of the Secretary to the Treasury, whose job is fiscal management. So essentially what the governor was doing is that he was overstepping his territory and his job description of monetary policy management and was now trying to embark on fiscal management.
So there you have it. That's the monetary policy rate that was announced by the Bank of Zambia governor. But just in case you are trying to figure out where all that is coming from, we actually have stories of citizens that are angry that that happened, which is what the story that we carried out, I think, yesterday or the other day. And it's not just... So now we're trying to understand what about that lady that doesn't know what is going on. Has the sensitization gone on? Do they understand what it's about? What about a person like me, which is very embarrassing that I actually don't understand such a thing, but then it's normal. We're trying to figure out, because the reason behind it is that we're trying to maintain the economy and other things, but then doesn't that increase in the price actually disturb a lot of things? So we're looking at electricity and fuel prices increasing, which means we might have a hike in the fuel, the bus fare. I don't know how much will go. Those that get on a bus that you pay 5 kwacha from destination A to destination B. So we'll quickly get into analyzing what that is about. But let's just quickly get into the announcement from the Bank of Zambia governor concerning the monetary policy rate.
The primary objective of monetary policy is to reach and maintain a low and stable inflation rate and to achieve a long-term gross domestic product (GDP) growth trend. Wednesday, the Bank of Zambia responded by raising the interest rates by 50 basis points to 9.0% from 8.50% to help bring down high inflation. Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Karelia explains that the move is aimed at ensuring financial stability.
The decision of the Monetary Policy Committee is that we decided to raise the policy rate by 50 basis points, which brings it to 9% from its previous 8.5%. The magnitude may surprise you many, or even the fact that we had to raise the policy rate under the current circumstances. But there are a number of factors that underpinned that decision.
The annual inflation was running at more than 21% in October, down from a peak of above 24% in the middle of the year, but still well above the Bank of Zambia 6 to 8% target. Dr. Karelia says inflation is expected to average 15.1% next year and 9.03% in the first quarter of 2023. This week's monetary policy meeting was Dr. Karelia's first since his reappointment in September by President Hakainde Hichilema, who succeeded Edgar Lungu, who had earlier fired him prior to the August 12 general election.
Administrative adjustment to fuel, pump prices and the electricity tariffs. The reasons are sound, because you want to restore fiscal sustainability, but in so doing, there is that inflationary pressure that sets in when you do that. But the expectation is that that's a necessary adjustment to enable us going forward to enjoy better prices for fuel, better tariffs and supply of electricity going forward. Because if we don't do that, we'll continue having the challenges that we have been facing
Zambia has more than 14 billion of external debt, and the central bank urged the government to complement fiscal reforms to complement an objective for low and stable inflation.
We see that the modest adjustment in the policy rate took account of the need to continue supporting economic activity and maintain financial stability. Further, the committee calls for effective implementation of fiscal reforms to complement the achievement of low and stable inflation.
According to the central bank, economic growth this year was seen at 3.3%, with growth of 3.5% and 3.7% forecast in 2022 and 2023 respectively. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So there you have it for those of you that are wondering what is going on, just in case you see the hike in electricity and fuel prices. Now, the Bank of Zambia actually announced the monetary policy rate increasing by 50 basis points, which is from 8.5% to 9.0%, which means that we will see actually a hike in the two commodities that have been mentioned. Now, joining me on set is, I'll tag him as a concerned citizen, Mr. Chanoda Ngwira, who's just going to break it down to baby language, okay, the monetary policy rate, to that person that doesn't really understand what that is about. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. It's good to be on Camnet TV.
Good to have you.
This is my second time.
Your second time?
Yes.
Great. So I can't say at welcome.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
we're saying welcome back.
Well, yeah, welcome back. Yeah, basically.
So let's quickly break it down, monetary policy rate. Back to baby language. Let's just get back to that ground.
Well, much as I may not be an accountant or an economist, of course, to explain in detail, the MPR is basically something to do with interest rates. On the point of Bank of Zambia, obviously they are trying to, control inflation. Once there is an adjustment upwards, what that means is that the interest rates to a consumer, basically you and me who goes to the bank, to borrow money, the interest rates would definitely go up. What does that do? That deters, a lot of borrowing from, banks and these financial institutions. That results into, maybe a reduction in the circulation of the kwacha. And what that means is that the inflation rate will definitely go down. So basically this is, I may put it like it's a temporal measure, to controlling the inflation. It's not something that, will go on forever. No. And it's more like you have a headache and you want to, take Panadol. It doesn't mean that you've healed, the headache. You've just tried to cushion it. So in short, that is basically what it is. So the monetary policy rate has to do, I think, in a baby language, interest rates when it comes to borrowing. So that means that if you already have a loan, you already have an existing loan, as the Bank of Zambia has announced now, that existing loan, it's either you choose to extend the period in which you pay, or you maintain the period but at a different rate now going forward, because I think you've seen in the media, Stanbic Bank has increased their rates. I think the other bank that has followed should be Zanaco. So if you are a new entrant into getting a loan, it means now you not get the loan at the previous rate. You get a loan at a rate that, these banks, yes. So basically, the benefit on the government side through Bank of Zambia is to control inflation. But the person who suffers is you and me, because we have to pay the penalty. In short, they are telling you to say, izi ndio zawama, koma dzafaka kompiripiri yambiri, so that usadye tizisungire mairo, things like that. Yes.
Okay, so it's like we're trying to cushion the current economic state for the future.
Exactly.
So now, you mentioned something about if the MPR goes through, implemented and starts, which has already started running, the inflation rate will go down, which means some food items and non-food items prices will decrease. So it's both. It's a 50-50 kind of situation.
Well, you are very right, because definitely when the inflation rate goes down, obviously the prices of commodities will definitely be affected in a way. But I'm worried because we are not just talking about the MPR issues here. We are also hearing the Bank of Zambia governor talking about the increase in tariffs. So that, plus that, still more, a consumer out there is going to suffer. Because definitely, yes, the inflation will go down, but you know, the condition of doing business would definitely be higher. Because one, in regards to production, mostly people depend on electricity. For someone who sells bread, for them to make bread, they will depend not only on transportation, but fuel to do the production, fuel to transport the, what we call, maybe the recipients, is it the recipes, or if I may put it that way. Then to get the bread to someone who is going to consume, you and me. So because fuel has gone down, the bread will definitely do what? Or go, I mean, fuel has gone up, bread will definitely do what? Go up, because the cost of production will definitely be higher. So I think still more, you and me out there is still going to cry. Because the marriage between the two, basically, it's not a good marriage. It's a disastrous marriage.
Okay, so now I'm really trying to understand the whole point of having the monetary policy rate increased and then having the inflation rate reduced or maintained at a certain percentage. So now here is trying to put in this policy to reduce the inflation rate, but then we're trying to look at the common commodities like food items, like let's say the carpenters, the meats and stuff like that, be reducing. But then the whole thing happening will actually motivate, lack of better terms, the increase of certain food prices. So I'm trying to understand how the two are married to each other, considering the fact that we're trying to maintain a certain economic situation.
You see, the subject of, the subject surrounding the economy of any particular country really is something that has made a lot of countries to, you know, get to where they are today, mostly those that are developing countries, because you cannot just do one thing and expect that everything is going to be normal. You have to do something, and then the moment you do something, there will be another thing that will, more like starting to, you know, get up and affect you. And you have to rush there to do that. So really, it's more like we are just going around the circles, and it's not helping the citizen out there. It is still going to be an expensive life to live. It will still come to a fact that life will still be unbearable. And that's a fact, because you can't run away from it. The inflation rate is down, then what? Fuel is up. Electricity tariff is up. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Because if, for instance, today, the inflation goes to a single digit, if we take it that way, and then you have electricity tariffs adjusted upwards, you have got fuel adjusted upwards, and what are you benefiting? It's like maybe curing a headache through a medicine that will affect your tummy, and then you have stomach upsets. What are you solving? So there is literally nothing that is being sorted out here. So, sorry to say this, but you and me have to just address ourselves and accept. I'm sure you even heard, you know, the presidential spokesperson, Comrade Anton Bwalia, who said even the president is feeling, you know, the pinch. Even him, as Anton, is feeling the pinch. So in short, we are being prepared to hard times ahead of us, though they are saying that that hard time is just for a period, and at a later stage, we are hoping that things
like
are going to be better.
And then later, after the fasting, you have a proper meal.
Yeah, but then if you are fasting and expecting that you have a good meal when the fast is broken, you really have to be sure that the food is there in the fridge and it's already, ready. But a situation where you fast and then you reach the last day of fasting, then again you start looking for food. You don't have energy because all this time you've not been eating as you were praying and fasting and all that. So really, the uncertainties are there.
But there's hope.
Well, the hope is there. But again,
the pessimistic surrounding
it's huge. Because look, I'm sorry to say this. I'm trying hard not to be a politician that I am. But also the coming in of the IMF. They're also coming in with their own conditions. And already we've gotten the monies from them. They'll tell us no more employment. They'll tell us no more salary increase. And this salary increase, it's already on the people that enjoy loans. Civil servants, they enjoy loans and they enjoy salary advances. So this is not just going to remain in the banks. It's also going to, even this Tuntemba, financial institutions, even the Shyrocks now are going to take things, for granted. Say, no, but government has said this and the banks are doing this, so we are also going to. Because if you get, so for instance, money from a financial institution, say a bank, and maybe another financial institution, I don't want to advertise, that's why I'm not mentioning names.
Different financial institutions.
Different financial institutions have different interest rates. And you find that these civil servants, and even just business people who go there, because they're in desperate situations, they just have to sustain their businesses, they have to sustain their budgets and all that. So it becomes practically difficult to survive. So only Jesus. And I just pray.
He always gets us.
Pastors should, I'm told there's a group of pastors for economic recovery. I think we just need prayers now. The person who is leading that maybe they should get into fasting for maybe 40 days, 40 nights.
I think we will get there eventually. It will get there eventually. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngwira, for coming through. I have understood what this whole is about because I was trying to understand how it comes from the Bank of Zambia governor to the banks to that entrepreneur to a person like me that goes and buys the commodity from the shops and stuff like that. Hope you have managed to actually get one or two things from what the monetary policy rate is about, and hope you have understood from the explanation, because this is not the first time that this is being talked about on Camnet TV. We had a whole topic yesterday, so I just wanted to have a brief summary on what it is about. And remember, our topic of discussion today is, do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? Before I let you go, Mr. Ngwira, I will pose this question to you. We have seen an increase of women being beaten, girls being beaten, and also a few men that have come out in the open facing gender-based violence. During this time, from the time that the whole thing has been happening and come out in the open, do you think we're actually winning the fight against gender-based violence?
Unfortunately, no. In two ways. One, I think punitive measures are not really making sense. Hence, those abusers taking advantage. So if the law enforcement agencies would get into a gear that would, scare away the would-be, offenders, then I think we are going to win this fight. And then at the same time, you are women, I don't know how God has just created you, because you think gender-based violence is just about women. Do you know that even in these homes, families, men are being abused? But these non-governmental organizations do not speak louder on the men's side as compared to the women's side. So if we are going to get to a stage where we say gender-based violence has nothing to do with women and it has nothing to do with men, it has everything to do with both, because it's about gender. then we are going to realize that, okay, indeed, it's not about dating. If today you and me are married, God forbid, I stop, or you stop talking to me for 1 week, you are abusing me. You stop giving me that attention. You are abusing me, you know. And when, for instance, we have gone to sleep, you sleep the other way, all that happens in homes. And unfortunately, the men cannot come out because they feel they're going to be imbalanced. So we need a serious policy. We need a serious, I don't know which ministry deals with that. Is it, of course, there is also Minister of Home Affairs through the police. Then is it Minister of... No, we don't have the Minister of Gender. So whatever it is, the Minister of Home Affairs should come up with a deliberate policy where there is serious sensitization. There's serious sensitization, and also let women come out in the open and report. Because yes, most women get abused. That I can't lie. I mean, they get really abused. So the best is let them not protect the so-called marriage at the expense of losing a life. Let them come out in the open that it's not good. Because you are not going to just, quite all right, they say, no, the marriage will break. Let the marriage break, but preserve a life. Yes. Because what is the essence of being in a marriage or in a relationship or in a family, and then later on you lose a family? So there are three things: sensitization, punitive measures, and also those abused victims should come out in the open. Whether you are a man or you are a woman, come out in the open. Go to these media houses. I mean, Camnet TV is here. Different other media houses are there. Go out there and report that me I'm being abused emotionally or otherwise. Then that way we are going to see a reduction in this scourge called gender-based violence. Otherwise, it's a very serious thing, and we need to really fight it.
All right, Mr. Ngwira, thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate your presence. You've actually stretched on a lot of things.
Thank you very much. I appreciate, but please, I appeal to Camnet management that as some of us, we like talking. So if you don't invite us, our talking will just be having them in the house.
We'll make sure that you're called for statements.
So please keep on inviting us.
For statement, no, not a problem.
We can issue 100 statements in a day.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwira.
Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just having a conversation with Mr. Ngwira just on the mandatory policy rate and also gender-based violence, which is our topic of discussion for today. Do you think we are winning the fight against gender-based violence? Right about now, we'll get into our conversation for another conversation for the day just after this.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. You're still watching Camnet Breakfast Show. Do you think that we're winning the fight against gender-based violence? This is because there's a 16 days activism against gender-based violence. We're just having a conversation with Mr. Ngwira, and also earlier we had a conversation with our psychiatrist, Mr. Leandro Hamendo. Now, quickly getting into our last interview for the day, on set with me I have Mr. Isaac Pomboloka. I had to breathe before saying the name. There was a whole rehearsal before we actually came back on set. Mr. Pomboloka. I've said it right, right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming through on set. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm fantastic. And I'm so excited. I think this is the first time I'm doing an interview with Camnet.
Welcome.
What a
Welcome
place
to the home of
here.
Camnet TV. Thank you so much. So now let's quickly get into it. We're talking about change, this particular conversation. And we've seen quite a number of changes looking at the coming of COVID-19, how people became more active on social media. So we're literally trying to marry the two, which is COVID-19 and technology, and also the change that has come amid these things. So let's just quickly get into how to adjust to change.
Okay, that's a very good question. First and foremost, I would love to state that change is the only thing which is constant. And change is inevitable. Okay, when you look at the history of humankind, you're going to realize that we've gone through some serious change. And some change come abruptly, and some change come at a large scale. And that change is what we call revolution. And I can take you back to the first revolution that we had, which was powered by the steam engine. We can actually go forth up to the third revolution, which was powered by the coming of the internet. All these things have actually disrupted our normal ways and traditional ways of doing things have been done. And currently, we are facing a pandemic which has just disrupted how things are being done. For example, we used to enjoy physical classes, but we can no longer do that because we need to do the social distancing. As a result, we were pushed to actually adopt the e-learning style of learning, which on the other hand, if we are not pushed because of that change, we couldn't maybe have adopted it. And we can also talk about technology. We will look at the International Labour Organization. They are predicting that over 50% of the jobs are going to be automated in the few years that to come. So we are facing through a lot of change, and which is coming abruptly. And the future is unprecedented because we don't know when COVID is ending. We're just preparing and anticipating for the fourth wave now. And the technology coupled with COVID has actually disrupted how things are being done in all indices of human life. So when we are actually addressing the issue of change, it is very categorical to ask ourselves, are we prepared for that? Because at the end of it all, whenever we are talking about change, it is about the initiators of change. Because when change comes, it has the ability to disrupt people who are not involved in the process of change. What am I trying to say? My point is, change, when it comes, it favors those who are actually participating in initiation of that change. So the questions and discussion that we need to be having is, how are we going to position and reposition ourselves at individual level, at corporate level, in business and in organizations, so that we can handle the change that is ahead of us? Because change inevitably is coming, and the change that we are yet to face, and a lot of experts are referring to as the fourth industrial revolution. It is abrupt and it is different from any other kind of revolution that we have faced, because one of the velocity of the speed. I can assure you that the data we have produced in the past 5 years, the data, the information is actually 50 times more than the data we have managed to produce for the past 50 years. Have you seen what we're talking about? So the change that we're actually facing is actually coming with a high velocity. And apart from that, the systems that are being imparted, the change that we're yet to face, the fourth industrial revolution, and also which is being catalyzed by COVID, the pandemic, this type of change is actually imparting all indices and every system, businesses, churches, and nothing is remaining. So we need also to actually be having these sober conversations, because they are going to help you and me to strategically position ourselves to actually take over the opportunity that this change might bring on the table. That is why this conversation is vital.
Okay, so now you've spoken about change and also how the world is trying to adjust to the current situation. Let's talk about Africa, to be specific. How is Africa's response to the changing world currently?
That's a good question.
How has been Africa's response to the changing world currently?
That's a very good question. First and foremost, you can agree with me that when we talk about the continent of Africa, Africa has been on the recipient side of change. We have been receiving change, and we have the inertia to initiate change ourselves. That is why we don't really participate and grab the opportunities the globalization has begun. You know, what globalization has done, what digitalization, what technology has done is that it has reduced the world into a global village. For example, you can set up a company which is running right in your home, and that company can be worth millions of kwacha, and that company has consultants from all over the world and clients from all over the world, because technology has made payment plans easier regardless of where you are. So the world has been reduced into a global village, and Africa is part of that global village because it is easier to connect and reconnect with people from every part of the world. Now, Africa's response to change has not been exceptional, has not been fantastic. In doing so, it's because we've always been on the recipient side of change. We have adopted a lot of models that are generated by the Western, by the Western and by the East, and we are eager to adopt those policies and see if they can work to our narrative. I can talk, for instance, of the COVID-19. Okay, it took Western countries to actually develop the COVID-19 vaccine. You get the point, eh? And when there were some studies that were being done by Africans, like, so we can talk about, you know, the Madagascar cure. Was it the Madagascar cure which was being experimented? You know, every person in Africa was resistant to try it out and see how far it can go. But when the COVID vaccine came from the Western countries, we were eager to actually adopt that. So as Africa, it is time to understand that change only benefits innovators, change benefits initiators, and so long as we are not participating and we are not being initiators of change, we are going to be left behind, because the opportunities that are coming are going to favor largely the people who will be initiating the change, because these are the master plans and the masterminds of everything that will be happening. So in terms of change, it is high time, and I'm calling upon every African to be asking to say, we need to be predicting the future. For example, you know that the future is e-learning. Very soon classrooms will be outdated, because people will say that it is far much easier to learn through technology and convenient than the physical classrooms. One, we all know that is going to happen in a few years to come. But the question is, are we prepared, or we are waiting for that change to happen so that we can actually strategically position ourselves as a country, as a continent, and as a country? We need to actually be able to predict what technology is going to offer ahead of us 5 years from now, 50 years from now, and be part of the initiations that are going to bring about that change. In doing so, we're going to have the economies, we're going to have things under our control instead of dancing to every tune that comes in.
So now, how do you envision the future of the continent and our country at large?
You know, the disruption that is coming, as I've said, is very, very fantastic. It is coming with a lot of opportunities, and for people who are open-minded. You know, there are a lot of inventions in nanotechnology when we talk about robotics, when we talk about all the digital platforms and the Internet of Things. I'm sure I can tell you that nowadays, like 5 years from now, 10 years ago, okay, it was very difficult to own a phone. We used to have those big phones. If you are lucky, you are coming from a rich family. You know, one in a house. Okay, every person who is going, maybe you need to debate which person is good. But now, how do you feel if you don't have a phone, or if you have not visited social media? Just to be specific, if you have not visited social media in just an hour or so, you feel as if you are missing something. What am I trying to say? Very soon, the fourth industrial revolution is bridging the gap between the physical world, the digital world, and reality. So the gap is getting narrow each and every day. A lot of people are not going to distinguish the internet or the technology from themselves. That is why a lot of experts are saying that is called, they are calling it the Internet of Things, and others are saying the Internet of all things, because very soon we are approaching an era where we are not going to distinguish technology from us. Technology will be part of us. Digital things will be part of us. Now, whenever we look at that change which is coming abruptly, okay, the question that we need to talk about is, how are we going to envision the Africa in the next years to come? One, we can talk about jobs. The future is not jobs. When we talk about things that happen, the future will not going to be jobs, the future will be freelancing. You can understand that a lot of organizations now, they know that technology is going to deliver them a lot of work and a lot of profit, okay, and cost effectively. So a lot of people are embracing ways, using technology so that they can deliver results. Do you know what that means? They're not interested in your degree paper. They're not interested in your diploma or PhD. They're interested in your ability to deliver results. And very soon we're going to have an economy which will move from contract fixed modes of payment to performance-based payment. We will be paid based based on our output, not basically to say because you are in load, whether you're not going to work, whether you're not producing results, you're going to be paid. No, we'll be paid based on the output that we are delivering, the result that we are delivering and bringing on the corporate table. Now, when that happens, we're going to realize that a lot of graduates that are actually on the job market searching for jobs, a lot of them will be disrupted and their hopes will be shattered because they're going to realize that without skills and without talents, they will find it difficult to benefit from the opportunities this digital world is going to bring. As a result, people like you who are taking time to master the skills and bridging them with your talent are the people will be sought after. Because with your talent, which is unique, you'll be able to go to the corporate, to the business and say, I have this I can deliver to the table. This challenge and this problem that you are having, I'm able to solve it using my skills and my talent. They are not going to ask whether you have learned those skills from YouTube or you have learned that skill from home, as long as you are able to deliver the work that you are going. So the future is not jobs. And it is high time as an African youth we begin to strategically positioning ourselves to say, since the future is not jobs, how am I going to stay relevant in these times of disruption? Because there is always positivity in these times of disruption. That is about jobs. The second is about education. The second is about education. Very soon, traditionally and conventionally, we have been accustomed to see education as the food that we are supposed to eat, instead of seeing education as the food, as the pot we can use to prepare the food that we have to eat. A lot of people are committing suicide because they are saying, I've been a graduate for 10 years now, and yet, they are depressed, and yet they commit suicide because they are saying, there is nothing that I can do, and the government is no longer able to sustain and to provide jobs for us. I can assure you, during campaigns, the UPND came with a slogan to say Bali is going to fix it. And of course they can do it at a certain extent, but no government in the east of the world and yet to come is going to provide employment for every person. And by having that fact in mind, it is time to think to say, how am I going to be relevant in terms of the educational sector? When I get a degree in developmental studies, the first question I need to ask is not the kind of impact I'm going to have to the business or to the corporate world which is going to hire me, but the impact I'm going to have to the society around me. Because when you are impactful to the society around you, inevitably you become the person who is going to be sought after and the opportunities will be coming your way. So when we look at such education in that form, and the future is e-learning, as I've said, are you digitally positioning yourself? Are you technologically positioning yourself?
We're just waiting, like
we're just waiting for the change to come.
And
because at the end of it all, colleges, teachers, the way we learn, the way we get hired, everything will change soon. And when we say soon, these things have started changing. For example, we have robots that are actually getting the citizenship in America, and those robots are able to do a lot of manual activities, okay, that people who have not attained some levels of education were able to do. But those people are depressed. Why? Because the robot is not going to get tired or going to go home. It can work 24/7. So you see, so people are looking at ways in which they are going to improve their output and their productivity. They don't care about cutting the number of staff. If one technology will come on board so that it can actually improve the way they deliver services in a cost-effective way, they don't care if they have to send 50 or 500 people home. We have seen a lot of companies, if you analyze even in Zambia, because of technology, they are actually making a lot of profits because they have reduced human labor. So that is the thing and the conversation that we need to start having. We can go on and talk about health.
I know, it's like, it's a whole straight.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So now before I let you go, your conclusion and 30 seconds.
Great. So what we need to understand about 30
seconds.
Yes, so what we need to understand is that it is time to actually position ourselves to benefit from the disruptions, from the change, and from the COVID that is currently going on. Instead of us being recipients of that change, instead of us being victims, it is time to strategically position ourselves so that we can actually take over and be part of the benefits and the opportunities the digital world is bringing. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pomboloka, for Mr. Pomboloka. For coming. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're just talking about the change and also how the world is just getting into all this technology and how we need to actually prepare ourselves mentally for this type of change and how we can stay relevant in the evolving world. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the breakfast show, but I would love to say thank you to everybody that came through and took time to watch from the beginning up until now, and those of you that took time to actually get to our Facebook platform and watch us from there, and also took time to comment on the page, and also to every guest that came come through. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is the part where we pack our bags. Thank you on behalf of Elijah Chifita and also Mr. Fred Munungwe upstairs on the other side. On behalf of the Camnet TV crew, it's good morning and have a beautiful day.